Hello, hello. Aldwyn Altuney here, and it is with great pleasure today that we interview Andrew Cominos. Having a chat with Andrew Cominos, he's known as the Brisbane Sales and Performance Strategist, and he's also known as the sales superhero, and he is amazing at what he does, and he looks great in a Superman suit too. Not that I've seen you in a Superman suit, but something similar. Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, so I've got the photo on Facebook of me like ripping open my chest, and there's a Superman symbol, but it's the surge symbol.
The surge symbol. It's very cool. I love your branding. It is amazing. Now we're going to be talking today about how to thrive in business during COVID-19. It is a very unsettling time for some people out there. And really, to survive in business now, you need to not just get your head around new technology, because so much is online now. It's actually to be able to be patient with the technology, right? So what are some experiences you've had recently, Andrew, with technology that you've been battling with?
Well, I've had experiences with trying to make this interview go live.
Yes, that's been a challenge.
Yeah, I think everyone's struggling with technology at the moment. I mean, I don't mean like, I mean, obviously some of us aren't struggling at all because, you know, we're tech geeks, or we're, you know, which is fine. Like, I'm a sales geek, and some people are tech geeks, and some people are media geeks, and some people, you know what I mean? We're all a geek of some kind, right?
Yes.
But, you know, I think the big one is that at the moment, the majority of people are struggling to get their tech to work for them. I know that I realistically, on the scale of technology, I'm actually not too bad, in the sense that I don't tend to struggle with a lot of like things like lighting or cameras or going live on Facebook or understanding that stuff. I don't tend to struggle a lot with that. But even myself, I'm having to set up new things that I've never even thought about before. Like, I'm very good at selling. That's what I do. I'm the sales guy, right? I'm the sales superhero, as everyone keeps saying. But
yes.
What the truth is that I'm not the systems and automations person, right? And, you know, a lot of things these days, and particularly running an online business, is systems and automations. And so I've got someone else doing that for me. That's someone else's job, right? To do the systems and the automations and to set that up. But I mean, I think we all need to do that stuff, is to outsource or shift and do the things we're not good at. Because if you're going to run a successful online and solely online business, then guess what? You need to shift and do that sort of stuff, right?
Absolutely. And now we have NBN in Australia, and you know, it's amazing. I was just looking at some different NBN plans yesterday, and there's so many different options, and it's the same with live streaming software. You know, there's always seems to be a million options when it comes to anything internet, you know, with software or with which plan to use, and it can be an absolute minefield. So what do you do when you're thinking about, you know, which software to use or which plan to use? What helps your decision making with that?
I'm lucky in the sense that I have a very decisive attitude. I know a lot of people are so ridiculously focused on things being perfect. They're looking for that one software that does it all, right? And I'm about simplicity. What's the simplest one I can use? What's the one that seems the easiest, quickest, and fastest? Does it work the absolute best? I'm sure it does. And I know that my payment system, for instance, I'm not going to, like, you know, advocate any brands or anything, but, you know, I know that my payment system, for instance, it's the simplest, easiest, most efficient way to get a direct debit and get a direct debit and get paid, right? It's by far. I've done the research. I know. It doesn't necessarily have the best syncing and automation, right? But it's the best and the most simple. And so it takes me 30 seconds to set up a direct debit and another 30 seconds to set up an account. It takes me a total of a minute. It's all done, right? But whatever works the best for you and is the simplest for you, I just look for simplicity personally. I just look for, you know, everyone's like, I want this one because it has this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature. Yeah, but along with that feature comes a whole host of other, you know, complex technological problems. And if you're trying to get online quickly and you're just trying to set it up, the most important thing that I've learned in business to date is done is better than perfect. Period.
Absolutely.
Period. People mistake. People don't remember the opportunity cost, right? So when you're taking the extra 5 weeks to get something out there, or 2 months or 3 months, think about all the opportunities you've lost. And particularly at this time where you have in the last 4 weeks, there's been more businesses started than in the last 6 months, right? Particularly in this period, the opportunities you're missing if you're a business coach or consultant or a coach or a service provider that services businesses, the opportunities you're missing by not getting your projects and offers and your systems out there, right? The opportunities you're missing are tenfold what it would usually be, right? So the whole idea here is that we need to make sure that we focus on how can I get out there fast? How can I keep it simple so that I'm not worried about the technology? Sorry, I keep looking up here at myself. And I need to look down here at the camera or at you, Aldwyn. Like up myself up here. Look at this guy up here, right? So how can we get ourselves out there? How can we keep it simple and make it as easy as possible for us to get out there? So rather than looking for perfection, if you don't know technology, you're not a technological expert, you don't have someone to run that or set that up or make it happen all for you, just choose the simplest system. For instance, a really good example, actually, that if you don't mind me saying, Aldwyn, it's about you. If you don't mind me saying,
sure. No, you can speak. Good.
The simplest example of that is today, right? So we're using Zoom to go live on YouTube and Facebook, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So last week we tried to do the same thing. I think it might have been 2 weeks ago now, but we used a different program. I'm not obviously again not going to do the same thing, right? Yeah. And the reason I mentioned Zoom is everyone can see the little Zoom logo in the bottom of the corner of the screen, yeah. I'm sure, right? Yeah. So, but last week we tried to do the same thing with a different program, and that program was extremely complicated, and it was complex, and there was all these buttons you could press, and it didn't work, right? And it wasn't because that program is bad. That program is probably fantastic if you're techie, if you know how to do it. It's probably designed for people who are more, they might be videographers and might do this every day for a living, and it might be, more expensive. I don't know. But, Zoom is very clearly designed for the masses. And that's why, it's taken over Skype. It's taken over everything when it comes to video chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoom is being used a hell of a lot now. And what I love about Zoom is that you can see people's faces. People have been using platforms like GoToWebinar and Webinar Jam to do webinars. And, I don't like the fact that you can't see other people on the call. I mean, it depends how many people are going to be on the call, of course. But I can see why people also use those platforms, because they want people to just focus on the material being presented. Whereas sometimes you could probably get carried away looking at other people's faces, chatting with other people.
I think on Zoom, I do know that you can stop people from seeing everybody else. And all they can do is see you. You can switch it from like a gallery view to a pinned, what do you call it? A pinned view, right? Right. So they can only see you, which is fine. But I think the thing is the reason, as a presenter particularly, the reason we like Zoom is because you can see everyone, and we like to feel like we're talking to someone.
Yes.
Not talking to ourselves. I know when I film online courses or online videos, or even I do a live video every single day, 2 every single day, right? I'm crazy. When it comes to live videos, I think I do more than anyone else I know. And I think what I notice is that sometimes you're on there going, I am just talking to myself here. I'm talking directly to her. So really I'm looking at my own eyes, my own face, and going, wow, that's a handsome bloke over there.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it feels a bit strange at first if you're not used to doing it. And that's the thing. Don't let perfection get in the way of progress. Now, this is our 3rd attempt at this today, by the way. And the previous 2 times, the most bizarre thing happened. Zoom connected with Facebook, and it just suddenly ended the live stream for no apparent reason about 5 minutes into it. So this is the 3rd attempt. And so far, thankfully, we've got past 5 minutes. We're at 9 minutes now.
Well, I think it actually has something to do with maybe maybe it has something to do with Zoom. And if you only go live on Facebook and not another platform, it thinks that the other one's ended. So maybe you must be ended. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. We're not tech.
Yeah, we're not.
Tech.
That's right. So we're just, we're having a go, and we're trialing, and it's trial and error or trial and terror for some people. I am actually, I put this through to YouTube this time as well as Facebook, because I thought, well, maybe it's my internet, because I'm actually not on NBN yet. I'm looking at different plans. So if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear from you on which NBN provider you think is amazing in Australia. I'm definitely not going to be going 5G personally. I don't want 5G. I know there's a lot of health hazards with that, and that's a very controversial issue. But these are things that we need to consider. What sort of technology you're going to use, and what are the effects on you of electromagnetic fields, radiation? That's all a concern too. So when you sleep, for example, it's not a good idea to have your phone right next to your head and have your internet on, for example. That's not a good idea for restful sleep, which is also a key to having a successful business, right, Andrew? You need to be able to sleep well and have a balanced lifestyle.
Absolutely. But I must admit, I don't anymore, but I must admit I spent all my life with my phone, and it hasn't been next to my head specifically, but it's on the bedside table with no more than 1.5 meters away from me, right? Speaking of 1.5 meters. It's been no more than a meter, like maybe less than 1 meter away from me. And probably in line with my face, in line, probably a bit lower. But I can tell you one thing. If there's one thing I am good at, Aldwyn, it's sleeping. Yeah, it's one thing I've never struggled with is going to sleep. So for me, the phone next to my head thing, I think the biggest problem with the phone next to the head, the reason it stops people from sleeping, it's actually not as much the phone or the waves. I would be more inclined to say it's the picking up, and yes, I have my phone right here, picking up my phone and checking it for 15 minutes, because I would do that. I still do, right? Checking it for 10 minutes. And then for most people, they get sucked into the vortex. They get sucked into something that's fear-based, and they work themselves up. Anxiety hits. They've actually proven that being on the phone too much for a lot of people can cause more anxiety than it does good. And then so because of that, they try and get to sleep, and they can't because their thought pattern's running, right? They've just been in this thought vortex, right? Whereas, they reckon if you just plug your phone in, leave it alone, don't check it before bed, and then go to bed, you're actually calmer.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, just based on research and what people have told me.
Right. So now I've heard this term pivot a lot lately, that in business you have to pivot to thrive in business, not just survive in business. And there are great opportunities now at this time to create online programs and to, learn to do the online world effectively, even if you've got to stumble a few times before you master a particular technology. You've got to be able to pivot, right? And now you've been great at this, Andrew. You've pivoted with several things in your own business. So would you like to share with us, what are some of the things you've done to pivot in this new environment where we have social isolation and social distancing, etc.?
Well, I actually have if you don't mind me saying, pivoting is one thing I do, if that makes sense. I call it shift, pivot, change, and adapt, right? Shift your business model, pivot your offer, change your mindset, and adapt to the current climate, right? And I think if you can do those 4 things and you can focus on that, then it keeps you focused forward rather than focused backwards. Things that I've done is I'm lucky in the sense that I've always been an online business. However, I still, like everybody else, I still have to adapt quite significantly, right? Because everything's changing. Everyone's online now. There's a lot of white noise out of there. I was actually talking to someone today, and we were talking about how much white noise there is out there, how many more businesses have started. And amongst that white noise, you need to now be the blue noise, right? You need to be the blue noise, not the white noise. That point of difference, you need to be something different.
Yes, the purple cow. The purple cow. There's the purple cow, like the book, The Purple Cow. You've got to stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the whole idea So what I've done effectively is I have gone more online. I mean, I instantly, as soon as this came out, as soon as we started getting any form of locking, not locking down, but any form of like distancing, social distancing, I actually canceled all my events instantly and moved them online, like almost virtually instantly before the curve. Like I just preempted the whole thing and went, nope, not doing live events anymore. Everyone else is like, no, we're going to do live until the last minute. I'm like, yeah, and then you're going to be left behind. Right? Because people are going to be looking for those. So I actually shifted straight away, went online. And I mean, I've never been someone that gets hundreds of people to my events, and I'm not looking at it. I believe a more intimate, beautiful feel of really where we can learn and change and adapt together. But I shifted instantly with that. I instantly redeveloped an offer. So I shifted my business model to be fully online and do almost zero live, nothing live. So it's all online. And then I pivoted my offer to make sure that my offer fits with 3 major keys. And I think we've talked about this before. And there's 3 major keys when you're really looking at changing an offer. The factors you need to consider outside of the technical factors like cost and all that sort of stuff, right? So the three things that I like to bring up are you need to worry about people's time. So how much time does someone have to spend with you, or your time and their time? How much time do you have and how much are you earning for that time? But also how much time do they have? How much can they give you? How much time is it going to take them, particularly in services and coaching, right? Now, the second thing is mentality. What is people's mentality at the moment? Is it fear? Is it joy? Is it celebratory? And actually, what is their mentality more specifically to your industry, to your business? Right now, people's mentality to travel is new, right? People's mentality, so they need to shift and pivot in some other way, right? But people's mentality to say, getting out there, PR, coaching, services, marketing is like, I'm terrified, I need your help, right? It's subjugate in some way. And the last thing, so we've got time, we've got cash flow, and the last thing, time, mentality, and the last thing you need to consider when you're pivoting your offer is to figure out people's cash flow. What's the general cash flow look like in the world at the moment? And we're in a bit of an economic crisis, right? So we are in an economic crisis. And because of that, we need to be aware that people are not going to have the same level of cash flow. Now, that does not mean that there's no money. That does not mean that people are not buying. I made 2 sales today alone, right? I've actually made a lot of sales in the last few weeks, like a couple of weeks. A lot, actually.
Great.
And, so people have money. There's still money out there and people are still spending money. The whole idea, though, is you need to be aware of their cash flow. So the whole idea here is you need to make sure that as you are working through that, you are giving the same amount of value for the same amount of the same amount of value for the same amount of your time, right? So they're still getting the same amount of value, but they're getting it in a different structured way that matches with the cash flow that they currently have, right? So I took one of my long-term products and I just shifted it and tweaked it a little bit to match time, mentality, and cash flow. And suddenly, people start buying, right? And the reason they start buying is because they need it right now, and it matches with the current model, if that makes sense. Their current mentality, does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Now, there's a term going around that sales is service. What's your opinion on that term?
No. Oh, mate, I'll be honest. I'll be dead honest. This is actually I'm glad you brought this up because, they say that interviewers are supposed to get under your skin, right? Yeah. That's the whole idea, right? You're supposed to get under the skin what's ticking, right? What ticks under there. Well done, right? I personally hate it. And it's not because sales is not service. You need to serve, right? That's fine. And you need to have great customer service. You need to deliver. You need to do it. It's just serve to sell. It is so counterproductive, right? And it's so not true that so many small business owners are failing because of it, right? It's this, and you've hit the passion point for me, right? So I'm sick and tired of these experts that are out there saying, serve, not sell. Learn to sell without selling, right? It does, what? Right, and what you're doing is they don't realize that these experts that are saying that are natural born salespeople. They're salespeople that they're people that they're good with people. They naturally have that confidence and conviction in them, right? And what they're not realizing is the majority of people, right, don't have that. But these experts that are telling you serve not sell and sell without selling and all that sort of stuff, what they're actually saying is, I can get sales with, as far as I'm concerned, not selling. They are selling. But I don't understand sales in any way, shape, or form. So I believe that it's unnecessary to use it. I believe that you can serve and not sell. But what they don't realize is they are naturally good at building a relationship, and maybe their expertise is high enough that they ask the right questions, and they've got that confidence and conviction to increase conversion rate, to get a decent conversion rate. And because of that, they get some kind of conversion. Now, that doesn't mean their conversion is great. It just means they're getting a conversion, right? And yes, because of that, they then tell other people, and I'm leading to my point here, is that they tell other people that serve, not sell without selling, do all those things. The truth is actually really simple, is that just gives people who don't know how to sell an excuse to not sell. And so then you get all these business owners out there that are not selling, all these business owners out there that are saying, oh, you don't need to do sales conversations, you don't need to actively sell. Selling is not a necessity. And so not only do they believe that they don't need to sell, but they actively avoid selling. And because they actively avoid selling, they never close a freaking deal. They never make any money. And no wonder we have 90% of businesses that fail in the first 5 years, right? And so for me, I just sit there and I think, if there's one thing I could say to the world about this, it's stop saying that. It is hurting people, right? You need to sell so you can serve, right? People want to make an impact in the world. I mean, you know me, my entire business model, my entire why, my just cause for the world is to inspire happiness and joy in others by empowering small business owners to succeed and live happy lives, right? That's my thing. That's what I do. But I understand that if I want to make that impact in the world, I need to sell my stuff, because the more people that buy it, the more impact I make, the more people I help, the more people that succeed, the more happy people there are in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, money just makes you more of who you already are. So if you're a good person, you can do more good with money, right? It gives you more choices. And, I love your whole promote happiness idea. I really love that. And as you know, I'm a big advocate for more good news stories to lift people's spirits and to help decrease depression and suicide rates out there. And, my thing is that I've had depression over the years. I've had 4 friends actually take their own lives. And I believe the news that we put out there and the news that we consume, the stories we tell ourselves, are crucial to how we do life. So promoting happiness would just totally shift your whole frame of mind. Like people say they if they wake up in a bad state of mind, their whole day just goes to crap, right? Yeah. So actually, if you wake up in a state of gratitude or in a happy state, it can shift your whole day as well. So what are some things you do?
One day of happiness can change your life.
Yes, change your life one day at a time. So what are some things you do to stay happy in your life, in your day-to-day?
Well, I think the very first thing that I did is I changed my moral. I suppose I didn't. Yeah, no, I did. So I think the very first thing that I do is, for me, it's change your moral belief. Your change your initial base, set of values and beliefs. And my highest value, absolute highest value, three highest values are: loyalty is 1, positivity is 2, and happiness is 3. And not in that order in terms of importance either, just they are the three, right? So loyalty, because I find if you are loyal, if people feel like they can trust and endear themselves, if they can trust you, they can endear themselves to you, and therefore they feel happier to have someone that they know that they can absolutely rely on. Number two is if you're positive consistently about everything, right? And people don't see this, over positivity is too much, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Over positivity is. But the whole idea is having a positive outlook on everything. Doesn't mean being positive about everything. It means finding the positive. Okay, this has happened. We understand that that's bad. How can we solve the problem and how can we move forward, right? And then from the other thing, it's thinking, you see a green tree and go, wow, that's nice. I see a green tree and go, that's freaking amazing. I sit outside with a coffee and I am just ecstatic, right? I'm just ecstatic. I mean, that's, and I'll explain that in a second, but the whole idea is, for me, is positivity is such a massive thing in life. You start to really see the positive in things, and people undervalue it. They just undervalue it. It's undervalued. And happiness, number three, the big thing for me is really key. You need to do something every day that makes you happy. Every day, actually all the time, not even once a day, more than once a day. I get up, I go for a walk. I love going for a walk. Next thing I have a coffee. Having a coffee outside makes me happy. Sitting on the deck, having a coffee in the sunlight, right? I like to make rude and inappropriate jokes, right? It's one of my things, right? I'm not going to do it here, but I like to make rude and inappropriate jokes, with my friends and family. We have a laugh, and that makes me happy. And I actively include things that I know I enjoy in my day, actively, rather than waiting for those things to be included in my day for me, right? Whereas a lot of people wait on that. So I suppose the first thing you do is change your moral values and beliefs to what is the most important things to you, and find those and use those as your core system. Once you start to use those as your core system, then you suddenly, everything around you starts to shift and change, because you start to look at things like, oh, well, that's not positive, so I don't want to be associated with that. And I don't mean, so that there's going to be things that are negative, but if something's overly ridiculously negative and all the time and it's a big problem, then you start to not associate with it, right? You start to, something goes wrong and you go, all right, that you believe so heavily that your core values are loyalty, positivity, and happiness. Something bad happens, you go, all right, so your brain just naturally goes, okay, so how can I be positive and happy through this? What's the big thing to do, right? So, I mean, that happened to me recently. About a year ago, my partner started to have focal seizures, and she has hypoglycemia and a bunch of other things. And we put her on these tablets, and she was stuck in bed, and she basically spent 3 to 6 months where she couldn't do anything at all. And I had just moved in with her and her kids. This was about 2 years ago. And so I had been living with her and her children for 3 months. So previously single male, suddenly has 2 instant children to look after by himself, run a small business, and have a part-time job, because my business was just setting up at the time. And I think what tended to happen, I actually had lots of my friends go, dude, how are you not freaking out, stressed out, and down in the dumps? And your life is so stressful. And I said, and I realized that, well, I just said, I don't know, man, I just got to get on with it and have a good life, right? And I realized the thing is my core beliefs. Loyalty, I wanted to stick by her side, and I love those children and her with all my heart. Positivity is, I realized that at any given moment in your life, 80% is positive and 20% is negative, right? So I just decided to look at the positive side, the 80% that was positive. Think about it. At any given moment, yeah, there's things that are going wrong at any given moment, but if you really look for it, you can find 4 things that are great and 1 thing that's negative. You can do that if you choose to focus it. You can also find 4 things that are negative and 1 thing that's great if you really want to, right? But I look at it the other way around. So there, and then the happiness, because of the loyalty and the focus, I realized my life is good, and I'm like, well, I'm going to still chase my dreams. I'm still going to move towards things I love, and I'm still going to make sure in my day that I have things that I love every day, and so I felt fulfilled and happy because of chasing my dreams, and I felt positive and loyal, I suppose. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's a great response to that question. And, particularly during COVID-19, I often say that there's two places you can come from in life. There's fear or love. And one of my good friends, Kurik Ashley, actually wrote a book called How Would Love Respond? So it's interesting. Some people look at a situation and they'll either call it a problem or a challenge, right? So if you look at it as a challenge or as a learning experience, there's always something that you can gain from it. It's like there's always a silver lining with any drama. And often the darkest moments you've had in your life often have led to the brightest moments, right? So I always say after every breakdown, there's a breakthrough. And, that's particularly the case when you're pitching your story to the media, for example, which is what I help people with, is to get free publicity. And when it comes to free publicity, your X factor is your story. And the gems of your story are usually the moments in your life when you've had the darkest times and you've been able to pull out of that and you've overcome some challenge, right?
No,
so it's all about, attitude, mindset. It's really important in business. And, staying on top of that, a lot of people hire on attitude too, right?
Absolutely.
Attitude.
You can learn a lot of different things, but attitude's one of the hard ones.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I think with the adversity to like coming out of the darkest moments into your brightest moments, why you come into your brightest moments, I reckon, is because in your darkest moments is when you're forced to grow the most, to change the most, to shift and pivot and change and adapt the most. Yes. And because you shift, pivot, change, and adapt, you suddenly have done things that you've never done before. And you know what? And there's two major sayings that come up when I think of that. I think, I was teaching my kids the other day. It's a really good example. Teaching my kids the other day that I was teaching them that they came to me and they were having a big fight. They're like, oh, it's the end of the world. Rah, rah, rah. And I said to them, and they fight non-stop all the time. And I turned around and I stopped them. And I said, all right, stop. I'm like, we're going to have a chat. And I explained to them, I said, do you know what emotions are? And they said, yes. And they explained. I said, do you know what logic is? And they said, no. And so I explained and made sure they understood. And I said, do you understand now? They said, yes. I said, great. And I said, getting rid of all emotions, I want to ask you, does the actions you're taking, the way you are treating each other right now, does it make your lives better or worse? Does it make your, not lives, I think I said day, right? Because I'm trying to keep it for kids, right? I'm like, does it make your days better or worse, the way that you treat each other? Not you're fighting, just the way you treat each other. Do you reckon it makes it better or worse? And they both said one's 6 and one's 9, and they both said, oh, worse. And I said, okay. And do you think if you keep doing the same thing, it's going to change or it's going to stay the same? They went, oh, yeah, stay the same. And I said, okay, cool. I said, so do you know what the definition of insanity is? And they were like, no. And like, do you know what insanity means? And they said, no. I said, it means you're crazy, right? Do you know what the definition of being crazy is? And they said, no, what? And I said, they were smiling and laughing at this point because I was making a big joke about it. I said, it's doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And so what happens in our dark periods is we suddenly change and shift. And so we're doing something different. And so we suddenly get a different result, right? And it's so powerful. The reason the dark periods, inspire growth is it's that shifting, that changing, that we're doing something different, and so we surge.
Yes, and life is all about change and embracing change, and sometimes life throws curveballs. COVID-19 is certainly a curveball for most people. I mean, I don't think a lot of people would have ever seen this kind of lockdown where people are feeling like they're prisoners in their own home at the moment. And where people, there's beaches are closed. I mean, thank goodness there's some beaches still open, because that's where I get a lot of happiness, I can tell you, Andrew, by swimming in the ocean. And I think if they shut all the beaches down, I would have to work something else out.
I think, but see, that's the thing, shift, pivot, change, adapt. You might decide, okay, I can't swim. Maybe I can go sit by the water.
Yes.
Right, I can sit, off the beach, but I can still look at the beach. You know what I mean? It's not as good, but sometimes we've got to change. You never know. Not swimming in the water and just going and sitting. Maybe you do that. Maybe while you're sitting there, rather than swimming and focused on the swimming, you're so focused on everything else that maybe suddenly you come up with the best business idea and make $1 million. You don't know.
That's true. That's true. That could happen. Now, I've been working with an amazing doctor recently called Dr. Mia, and we put a press release out recently to media saying that the fear of COVID is actually making people sick. And we were promoting some simple ways people can boost their immune system during COVID. And of course, sunshine is one of those things. We need vitamin D. We need exercise. Right now, this no touching business, so it's good that you can touch your family, and because we need touch too, right? We need, we need hugs. We need to be passionate about what we do. I think that's a really crucial element. And bringing that passion into business. What do you say to people who maybe aren't completely passionate about what they're doing in business right now?
Ooh, I've got. This is really hard. And the reason it's hard is because you get a lot of experts that tell you if you're not passionate about what you do, go do something else. True, right? If you are not passionate, about what you do, go do something else. Sure, but some people are passionate about business and not, right? I know, for instance, my accountant, awesome guy, Roger Hawley, great guy. He's not passionate about accounting. I mean, he probably is, but he's not passionate about accounting or sales or this or that. He's passionate about business. He loves business. That's what he's passionate about. So that's okay, right? He's not super passionate about that business. He's just passionate about business in general is one. The second thing is if you are not passionate about business or passionate about what you do and you're not super loving what you do, you got two options. If you desperately need to stay in the business for financial reasons, then I wouldn't be giving up in a financial crisis personally, right? I would go find something you are passionate about what you do though. I'd be shifting really fast, because I don't want to give people advice that's going to, not get them through. But the truth is, if you're not passionate, change what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Change what you're doing, shift into something that does make you passionate and keep, and focus on that passion. Because I can guarantee you, actually, you know what? I'm going to come at it and say, if you are not passionate in what you're doing or in business at all, shift it because you won't survive this. It won't happen.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I've seen it happen again and again where people have just done something for the money and not because they've loved it. And they generally don't survive. And it happens a lot in the seminar circuit. A lot of people have come and gone in the seminar circuit. They've been pushing a new widget to make some money, and a lot of them just have not survived now. So I think you need to love what you do. You've got to bring that joy back, right? Have that happiness there around what you do.
I think the big thing I was saying to the guy today, to this guy that I was talking to, was he said, "Oh, there's going to be a lot of people out there," and I said, "Yeah, white noise, blue noise." I said that whole thing, but then I turned around and said, what you'll find is a lot of people are starting businesses, but I don't think a lot of people realize the level of commitment it takes. And you don't realize that level of commitment until you get a couple of clients, right? You get a couple of customers and you realize, wow, I've got customers. This is actually can happen. But then problems start to roll in, right? Things start to go wrong. People want, like I know when I started, people want refunds, or when people want, people don't like your services because, but it's maybe it's not your fault. Maybe it's their fault. Maybe it is your fault. You don't know, but all these problems start to happen. You go, geez, business is harder than I thought. And that's where a lot of people go, nah, go back and get a job because it's easier. Whereas a lot of, but then once you get past that, business, you think that you're going to finally be free and it's going to be beautiful, but it's not true. Business takes a lot. Business is so beautifully rewarding, but it's also a heck of a lot of work and a heck of a lot of commitment. And so, you know what? I'm going to go back and slap Andrew from 5 minutes ago on the wrist and say, no, if you are in business and you are not passionate about it, change what you're doing, get out of it, find something that works for you, because I can guarantee you if you don't have the passion and you don't have the commitment, good luck.
Yeah, and I would add to that patience, particularly with technology, because I've really had to exercise my patience, I must say, with technology
I
lately.
must say, you were incredibly, what do you call it? Incredibly, not just patient, but calm, right?
Oh,
So you sat there and you were like, with a big smile on your face, oh, this is not annoying at all. Meanwhile, in your head, you're probably like, oh!
yeah, I think that's the meditation I've been doing lately. I've been learning to take deep breaths, working with Dr. Mir doing box breathing. Deep breathing is really good for you as well. So I think it's important to breathe and just keep breathing at this time, right? Just keep the breathing going and you'll be right. You'll get through this period. Now, Andrew, some other ways to pivot. Now, you've been doing amazing Wednesday night drinks. I love that initiative on Zoom. Would you like to share a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's just a really quick free event. So effectively, it actually isn't about selling or business or anything. No one gets on there and promotes their product. Now, everyone gets on there because it's business drinks and tells you what they do, which is fine, but that's about as far as it goes. And then we just laugh and chat and carry on. I have a whiskey. I believe you have a wine, Aldwyn.
Yeah, well, I had a coffee liqueur and a champagne, so it changes, depending.
Yeah, it changes. And it's just about connecting, and it's not about, it's not a networking event. That's not what it is. It's just, hey, I'm the media queen. Hey, I'm the sales strategist. Hey, I do branding. Hey, I do film. Whatever it is. And then after the connecting part, which, most of the time it's mostly the same people on the call every week anyway. And then after that, we just chat and laugh, and it's like a party. That's it. And you know what? Hashtag promote happiness. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love it. I've been on a few of them now and it's been fantastic connecting with some old friends on there. I just saw one last night that I hadn't seen for 12 years or so. So that was fantastic to reconnect with her. And Wednesday night. So if people want to connect with you on that in future, where can they go to find out about Wednesday night drinks?
Wednesday night drinks, at the moment, I'll be honest, you just have to send me a message because we've kept it quite low. Quite low key, because I really don't want it to be, it's not a salesy thing, right? It's not about, so I don't have to put it out there as this big event that you can attend. It's more, send me a message on Facebook. Find me on Facebook or LinkedIn or go to my website, www.surgesolutions.com. I think it's written right.
Yes, Surge Solutions on
your
amazing
surgesolutions.com.au, right? Yes. So you go to those. You go to that website and just send me, it'll come up with a Facebook messenger thing. You can just send me a message and I can add you into the group because it's just a group, what do you call it, group? Messenger group. And then we just do a live Zoom every Wednesday night. I'll probably end up putting an event up at some point, but I really am doing it this way for a reason because I don't want it to be an event that people think that, they're coming to network and to have an event. It's friends. I'm trying to instill friendship and joy and, bring a sense of connection back, right? A true connection.
Yeah, I love that because we are a pack animal. We do need connection. So if you are watching this and, you're feeling a bit lonely on a Wednesday night, then make sure that you reach out. Because there's always someone there who can be there for you, right? And you've got a great challenge as well, Andrew. Can you tell us about your challenge happening?
Yeah, so with Pivot, Shift, Change, Adapt, I basically, in the last month or two, I've talked to probably over 1,000 businesses in the last probably, like I said, in the last month or two, over 1,000 businesses. And what I've noticed is the majority of businesses are creating they don't really have a plan of how they're going to get through the crisis. They're focusing on how do I cut costs? How do I, keep my business afloat? Well, I can tell you right now, you can cut as many costs as you like, but if you don't make any money, it's not going to save you. Right. So what I'm trying to do is I came up with a 5-step process or plan to help people thrive through this and actually not just survive, really actually move forward and thrive. So how we do it is we look at focusing. We look at where's your focus. Then we look at how you're going to diversify your business, how you're going to pivot your offer, how you are going to what's your plan, and then finally which is sales strategy for the period. And once we get those things, those 5 elements under wraps, then you have somewhere to go, a place to move. Like a lot of my clients at the moment are actually thriving. I know quite a few of them who have made more sales now than they were making before because they've shifted and pivoted and changed. And so it's really important that we all do the same thing. So what I'm doing is running a 5-day free challenge for people to help people through COVID. And effectively, it's just a group on Facebook. So we have a group. If you want to be a member of the group, you just, again, get in contact with me and we will add you into that group. And you get a workbook. You get 5 videos. So it's 1 a day at 5:30 in the afternoon, every day for 5 days. And we challenge you to actually set this stuff up. So it's not going to be easy, but it is going to be worth it.
Fantastic. Love your work, Andrew. That is absolutely brilliant. And what else have you got coming up on the horizon? Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, I do my Ask the Sales Guy every week, and I do, you know what? No, I have, my thing is I just want to help as many business owners to succeed over the next 6 to 12 months. I want to help as many business owners as I can forever, but right now, I just want to do as much as I can to help these business owners to really thrive, because I think this is a time where you can either thrive or you can die. I know that there's a lot of people out there in business that are saying, oh, I don't need to change. I just need to wait this out and to weather the storm. And my advice to you is join the Centrelink line. Because if you are, and I know that's really harsh to say it like that, but the truth is that if you aren't going to change and shift and pivot and adapt, then it's not going to work, right? So I know that's quite polarizing to say it like that, but the truth is the truth. And you can't avoid the situation. What I would suggest is doing a bit of research and figuring out where we are, where the situation is, and then moving forward from there. But so to everyone, what I would say is, if you need a hand and you want to move forward and you want to make sure that you are creating the best possible future for you and your business, then get in contact with someone who can help you, whether that's me, whether that's Aldwyn, whether that's anyone, whatever you need. Now's the time to act. Take action. Shift.
Yes, absolutely. Love your work. Very cool, Andrew. And again, for people to connect, just look up your name, right? You're everywhere, all over the media.
So, Surge Solutions, right there, www.surgesolutions.com.au, and or just search for me on Facebook.
Fantastic. And you do some fantastic masterclasses and workshops as well. So anyone who's interested in boosting their sales in an ethical, authentic way, then definitely hook up with Andrew, check his work out. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us today on Media Queen TV, on Facebook and Zoom and YouTube. Check us out. Now, tomorrow I've got the How to Gain Free Publicity During COVID-19 free webinar happening. So if you're interested in that, just check out Mass Media Tribe. Come and join the group of good news makers and shakers. We are a stand for good news and helping to lift people's spirits through more good news and sharing your stories and how you can positively promote happiness and impact the world with your story. And there's so much that can be done right now, and I'll be sharing tomorrow, and I've got 2 other webinars coming up as well. You can check out on Eventbrite and the Mass Media Tribe group. Go to the events tab on Facebook. Come and join us. And I would love to know how you have pivoted and maybe some great business advice that you may have if you're watching this. I'd love to see your comments. John Gill, John's an amazing guy, actually. John says, great advice, being positive and optimistic. Thank you, John. Appreciate that on the Facebook Live. That's great to hear from you. And anyone else, pop your comments in there. What are you doing now during COVID? And what are some ways that you are pivoting in business and staying happy, or maybe promoting happiness? Thanks again. Thank you so much for joining us. Any final words, Andrew?
Remember, sell to serve.
Sell to serve. Love it.
Always sell so you can serve. Like seriously, I honestly believe that if we change that one attitude in small businesses around the world, we will bring down the that failure rate of 90% in the first 5 years, I reckon we'll bring it down by 20%. Just that one little attitude. One little.
Sell to serve. Love
My
it.
goal. Sell so you can serve. That's my goal, to bring that back. That's my big why, is to bring that failure rate down. That's what I want to do.
And the fact is everyone's in sales. And, you know, some people think that the word sales is a dirty term, but the fact is we're all in sales. If you're in business, or even if you want a relationship, you're in sales in some way, right? Anything you do.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the biggest way I always say it, quite simply, Aldwyn, is you've got two ways to look at sales. You can either look at it from pain or look at it from pleasure. Now, the majority look at it from pain. I'll be really quick. The majority look at it from pain. But the truth is every sale you make brings you dollars, grows your business, gets you closer to your dream, does 1,000,001 positive things for you and the world, right? So if you choose to look at all those things that it's doing, then guess what? Suddenly you're looking at it from pleasure, and you want to sell more. If you look at it over here from, oh my God, it's uncomfortable and this and that, then all of a sudden you won't do it, and therefore you won't succeed.
Yes, well said. Love it. Thank you so much, Andrew. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. And, we both have some Greek heritage, so we do love to chat. We've gone for 50 minutes now, Andrew. We've done really well. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. No doubt we'll be chatting again, shooting the breeze a bit more in future about any particular topics around business, around sales, anything you want to hear about. If you are watching this right now, then pop your comments in there. I'm sure we will be looking at those and can answer any questions you have as well, or any future topic ideas you'd like to hear about or hear our opinion about. We can come back and have a look at that as well. All right, thanks again. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. And remember to shine your light bright and light up all those around you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.